Yo, it's your boy DJ Arnold. Fuck, I already fucked it up. Hold on. Mute me. Mute me back. Bring me back in. Hey, what's up? It's your boy Arnold Palmas. We're playing games today. Hey, hello, how's it going? Wow, why did it lag so hard trying to just transition? Is there a problem? Is there an issue? You're just transitioning. What's the issue? Computer. Please, my god. You watched that Phoenix Wright thing Cosmic posted in Discord? I did not. Oh god. Dude, I'm not gonna lie. It sleeps like... Wait, what? Oh god. I can't speak. I can't speak. Why did I go live? Quick, turn the stream off. Okay, I'm kidding. No, what is this? Is 8 minutes long, never mind. Is bread soup. You know what? We're not watching that. Luckily, we are on the screen I want to be on because we're going to load up the beginner's guide. A game so generously donated to the channel. We're just going to play it. Today's been, it's been kind of touch and go, for sure. Oh god, it's still we're so zoomed in still. Oh no. Where did I go? We're gonna play Haiku the Robot today, but I want to give that game its justice. I want to give it its due. What is this? What is this image? Why do I have an image of Squidward here? Remove that. Please remove it. This is like barely a game, it's more of an experience. That's okay. I'm here for that too. We want to go back to our roots, you know, and actually play some indie games again. It's been a lot of Pokemon Showdown lately, which is fine because I do like myself some Pokemon Showdown, but hopefully we'll find some time to play Haiku the Robot at some point. I really want to, it's one of my favorite projects that I've been following on Twitter recently, so we're going to do that. But for now, let's play some of this beginner's guide. How about that? I'm just botching this entire thing. Why don't you give me a game capture instead? You seem to not know how you want to act on this one. So why don't you give me a game capture? How's that? He's done it. Should we move chat? We're gonna move chat just a little bit. Perfect. Wow, wow, wow. Perfect. Look at us go. Look at us. Bunch of hooligans. Begin the game. It covered oh yeah, it covered the code for Among Us. Correct. Audio is on. Turn up the in-game audio on here. Hopefully it's not too loud. Standard WASD controls. You'll love to see it.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing the Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way.
Yo, where's my crate that I'm trying to open?
Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, He then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here.
Okay.
So, it's 2008, Coda starts
jump.
making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveyWreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
I'm about to change my recycling bin name to Stream Schedule.
Warning. Whisper machine active. Shift destruction imminent.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Okay. This is like an indie game montage, in fact. Also, hello Batsmech, how you doing? How's this fine Saturday treating you? Oh shit, just let it rip.
Hostile alien life form inbound.
Ran out. Reload, please?
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets.
I've noticed that.
But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin ship evacuation.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
I do like that. Focus on what the game is. The game is not done. Got him.
Apparently this space station has a labyrinth on it.
Oh, please.
Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
6-3 barely
Okay,
missed
this
day
is the
2 of the
part that's
Magic
interesting.
Qualifier.
The game has this
Feels
narrative
bad.
about the Whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Bless.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the Whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great
Cosmic.
signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Bro, just remembered what Leonard Nimoy said in the 2009 Star Trek movie directed by J.J. Abrams. The need of the many. And all that.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Goodbye.
The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it, like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking.
It is pretty.
What's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Oh shit. Okay. I cannot move? Oh.
Yep. In this game, you can only walk backwards.
Fuck my life. The music is also going backwards?
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
It's definitely got a lot of Stanley Parable in it. Or like the other way, you know what I mean? Stanley Parable has a lot of this in it. But if the future is always behind her, how'll she find the strength to confront it?
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works.
I like
because
it.
It gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Very avant-garde. I'm a big fan of this. Oh god. Is this Slender? You're now entering the Twilight Zone. I want that, but longer.
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
Batsmack, do you ever watch videos from like Game Jam games?
Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, we are going quite slow.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
We've done it. Cheat codes initiated. You are a gate.
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games.
Bro, that's kind of
would
fucked.
often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
Feel sad man in chat. I still haven't gotten over you are a gate. There's so many Counter-Strike maps.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it. Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon.
Isn't that just papers,
we're gonna
please?
see it a lot.
I do like Papers, Please. I know we talked about it the other day, but I do appreciate a game that really, like, pushes the idea of what a game is.
So that
Especially if games
right?
make
You
things
walk
to
down a
purposely
corridor,
be
solve
annoying.
the puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. All right, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Excuse me?
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
Bro, but you're showing us the secrets. You're ruining the secret. You are now exiting. Oh, bro.
So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
I understand. The great and lovely descent. There once was a house in the middle of nowhere.
Let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development.
The chartreuse tool?
To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well.
Goodbye.
The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Hello, I would like in there. Bro, I'm being sent to the fucking slaughter. Hello? You sheep.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
Oh.
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable. whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
But was there an achievement for trying to open a door 700 times? I see you, Stanley Parable. It's the symbol. Is the game volume too high?
With the exact same solution as the last time.
Nope.
There's still no
Nice.
clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
Bro, if this game ends with Coda is dead the whole time, then the revolution starts today.
Here, Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
How long is this game? Apparently about an hour and a half. That's the world above, you've been there. Now this is important, do you have to get through a puzzle with 2 doors and switches? Yes, I did, that was literally the last thing I did before coming here. I don't remember having to go through any puzzle. I'd prefer not to tell you after all, we've only just met. I hit you with the sassy number 3 option. What, but you don't understand? We're trapped here, the puzzle is our only escape, we need to get through it. You think you want to get through it, but trust me, you don't. Let me describe it to you. Let me tell you about what is over there. We'll tell him how we solved it. Oh. Yike. Feels bad, man. Chat is covering the dialogue? God damn it. Alright, chat, you go over here. You're in timeout. So basically, the guy, it was a dialogue option that you pick. How you get here. Was there a puzzle you had to go through? Then you say, yeah, I'll tell you how to solve it. But it's like, you choose the dialogue tree. There's more dialogue here, though. We actually find the black space between the doors to be far more interesting. Have you seen it yet? Excuse me?
And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level. It's a lamppost. Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
Just me, Jude. Have you not played this yet? As Hand of Thanatos has said, I have not. Not yet. That'll change tonight. The experience is great. I mean, it's pretty interesting so far. I do quite like stuff like this. Nice room. Not.
So
That's
first
Borat
off,
coming
I'm sure
back.
You can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're gonna see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after
Jesus
I met him
fuck.
at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level,
Accurate.
and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them.
The most
Either way,
important note.
To me, they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played.
Hell yeah, brother, I'll drink to this.
But it's ironic, isn't it? That in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
Senpai. Second most important note. Yeah, what if I just find a note that's like Joe, and then the next note just says Joe Mama? Free t-shirt. Door open, please. I help people because of the internal good feeling I get. It's a complicated moral quandary. So what is this? That we're in the Dark Root Basin right now? Monkas. Okay. Don't listen to the other notes. I'm not safe. A different way of saying, haha, I'm in danger. This is really who are you people? We will all die someday. Spoilers, it doesn't mean anything. Stop pretending you are other people. There's many levels of deep here. Help, I'm trying to speak. I have no mouth and I must scream. Hey, how's it going? but it is just dots. I don't want to be that guy, but can I get a fact check? Is this game actually made from games from a dude, or is this just made by the Stanley Parable guy?
And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one.
Become one with spiraling nonsense, Jesus.
In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on.
I've been here for literally an hour. How?
And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
Ay, ay, ay.
Okay, this one is tough.
Porn stars die
just
too.
Spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
Can I get some Pepe D's in chat?
See, like, this is it. The
If
whole
I
game.
knew how,
And there's
sure.
nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
That's Max done it. Okay, I put mine. Hello? Yeah, let's get a skylight. Let's open this baby up. Exactly what I was thinking. Where exactly are you doing this from? I like that.
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake. So, okay, he throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
This guide will enable you to escape from any prison environment. Follow instructions carefully. Take care that you remember each step. First, click on this table. Good, go over to the photo frame and click to turn it slightly. Now turn the floor lamp in this room off, then turn it back on. Now go to the left side sofa, move it over a little. Finally touch the shelves. That's it. In a real prison, the escape will now open. Return to the start to be taken back to your prison. Fuck. Table, picture frame, we'll figure it out. We'll get there. Simone, hello. Also dropping the Pep AD, huh?
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape. Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop, that particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
Excuse me. Simone, how's your stream? How's Overwatch? How's Dungeons and Dragons? This is very scary. I'm calling the police.
It's a conversation. And so this is
I
what
was in the
Coda
furniture
wants,
maze.
is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
Take notes, Avengers Endgame. To get out, you need to tell me how you feel right now. To get out, just talk with me for a bit.
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice?
Why the fuck is Discord going
So
off right
what
now?
would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself? To me, this environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the two doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
Hello, sir. I'm glad as all heck that you showed up.
You'll notice that the quality of the art is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
Let's go make the bed. Let's be honest, nobody makes the bed. Does anybody make their bed? There's no way, right? Straighten out that rug. What rug are we talking about? Ah. Could really go for a drink right now. Excuse me? You better let it out right now. Trying to get me in the tub? I see you don't have a lifeguard for your beach. Fuck. Where's the bookshelf?
After the intense set of prison games, this house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful. I know that Coda really liked this game. Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy all the time, just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
Earlier when I said I had a really cheesy thought, I was going to say that it occurs to me that one's house is a lot like one's soul. You take care of it and it takes care of you. But you're never done taking care of it, huh? go clean the books.
I'm glad he made this. I'm glad he found some peace. But, of course, it can't last. The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well. Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how
There's also
you
no
stay
walls
alive.
now. I
Which
don't
is
even
the
want to
whole
sound
point
rude,
of
but this
puzzle
takes 2
doors, right?
months to make. Game design
That
is
sooner or later
crazy.
you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it.
What you thinking so far? I like this. I really like stuff like
This
this.
one gets a bit goofy.
Wow, this person is a better human being than I am. I mean, people already think that when they see me, no? Jesus.
About halfway through the game, the perspective shifts. And you play as the teacher. And suddenly, you discover that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are. Oh, and also you can move around the classroom now.
I couldn't help but notice the giant eye of Sauron consuming all life. Is there something there? There's the lamppost.
I fell pretty hard for this one. I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences that you can have. To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human. I think about this game a lot these days.
But how long does it take to make something like this?
This one took a lot longer than all the others for Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one. That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this, and it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
I do like feeling really... Jesus, fuck!
Hello, Mama, let me whisper.
Wise, happy, focused, successful. I want to clip that, but I can't stop watching now. You're letting your animal brain make decisions, be bigger than that, and have an actual conversation with her. Do it again. By the way, we can't see all of the dialogue options. Wait, what? Oh, because I'm in the way too? Bruh. Fucked my life. Okay. It's fine. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Yeah, I'm super scared right now. I like you. Here are all of my hopes and dreams. I'm gonna hit you with I like you. No, that's not what I said to her at all. You're completely missing the tone of the conversation. I was reserved, but I knew what I wanted. I was confident. For some reason, it was just that one moment, but I was confident. Maybe it's that you need a better feel of the setting. There were a lot of people around us. I'll give you some props to work with. These cones that bounce when you touch them will represent people nearby. Now talk to her again. I'll bet you've learned to lean into the pain. What are some sacrifices you've had to make? You must have worked really hard to get where you are. It's a good answer. It's a good thing to say. You're messing it all up again? Okay, fuck me, I guess. You'll freak her out if the conversation gets too personal that quickly. Do you not realize how important this was for me? I'll never get another opportunity like this again. Everything was riding on this. Lamppost. Guess we're just yeetus deletus right now.
The game ends with this eerie premonition of what's going to happen next in Coda's life. The solution to social anxiety, to fears of having to perform and having to chase success, the answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away. Which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago, where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very healthy when I first played this game. You know, it looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with this person, to bring him closer. But what can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
Mobius trip. To play this game properly, you must keep your eyes closed. Click to begin the game. Fuck. I'm doing this for you, chat. The question is, oh. Either something reset or I've perished.
You should probably open your eyes if you haven't already. It's pretty much impossible to solve otherwise.
So this is just a real game.
Solution, by the way.
Oh God.
Like I said, I was getting concerned. First off, he's never been this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking. So where's that coming from? But then even weirder, his work has potentially stopped being an outlet for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual. Like, you know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that you say in order to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing. Here was the point in my relationship with Coda where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way. His games are going to get more desperate from here on out. After this game, it's almost 6 months before he finishes something new.
What's wrong? You look lost. No, I'm good.
If the last game featured Coda talking explicitly about his creative frustrations, this one turns it up to 11. Now, put yourself in my shoes playing this. Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle, frustration, anxiety, depression, even. And yet, still, he keeps making games. He keeps throwing himself into the grinder even when he clearly doesn't have the energy for it anymore. Why? What is it for? Because from my perspective at the time and just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet, and so he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on. You can't talk yourself out of loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers. Then there's no movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash. Seeing this game at the time that he made it, it looked really unhealthy to me. I was watching him do this to himself, and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped. It's like, video games are not worth this amount of suffering. This is someone I really cared about, and I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me. I don't know. This is what I felt at the time. I don't know how else to explain it. I wanted it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so rotten. I needed more than I had ever needed anything for this to stop. But it didn't stop. After finishing this one, Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
The machine. Stop. You're trying to see the Jarl. I intend to be quick, I intend to be quiet, I intend to be brutal. I intend to be quick.
And of course, it's the machine.
I hit number 1. You stopped. Ozman, hello. How's it going? You're just in time for the finale. You stopped feeding us. Your work was keeping us alive. Your work was keeping us healthy. So you stopped feeding us. Those people put out there, can you imagine what pain you've put them through? It was only because of your creations that any of us could make it through every day. How could we possibly go back to trusting you to do this job? For some reason my Discord isn't giving me the notifications. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that. I feel the same way. I check my Discord all the time and it feels like it's not working. Not that it's not working, it feels like I just miss messages all the time. You have to admit to people you allowed them to suffer. Alright, then I will speak to them for you. Ozman, this is a game that's like a walking sim examining like the inner machinations of the mind of a game developer by examining small projects that he's worked on. My followers at StefenGalaxy 93. It falls on me to deliver bad news. The machine will not apologize to us. But this is not important. We are stronger than it thinks we are. Let us show it that we are not failures. Follow me, we will destroy everything that the machine has created. Coda, I'll make sure your work dies here.
So now the work is becoming self-destructive. And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking that Code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to people, to get some actual feedback on his games.
Isn't that what you're scared of?
Isolation. And so, as I'm thinking this, I realize that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback, so what if I did it for him? If he could see the difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings, would that bring him out of his mental spiral? Would it give him confidence in himself? Would it bring meaning back into his work? So I started showing Coda's work to people. I took this one, and the islands which you just played, the theater, the notes, the house cleaning game, and some of the prison escape games. I brought them to people that I knew and trusted. I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all was just to give him some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work. There was nothing for him to be afraid of.
I'm pressing all directional buttons. I'm pressing all numbers. I think I can only click the fire button.
Can you see why I felt like this was the right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need, to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When someone really connects with a thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something, I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling. It was the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy. So beautifully, beautifully happy. So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look.
Fuck. Fuck, dude.
And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, the tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game. This room actually has a maze in it. Except that all the walls of the maze are
I'm
invisible.
spooked.
And then every time you touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise, so the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played, it actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the levels, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
One day the voice commands will work again.
And to be fair, it's not like this is the first game that's needed some modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end. But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze? The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here. I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
What is MP? What are you trying to do? MP is what my friend uses. Understandable. We used to have audio commands that worked. I mean, there's still chat commands that work, but not audio commands right now. For no discernible reason. Right? Nope. God, Batsmack has so many fucking points, bro.
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first 2 challenges and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely, just saying, you know, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem. I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem. But I can open this door for you, so let me do that. Was I a failure for not understanding this game? I mean, I don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why. I remember, it's June of 2011. I'm playing this for the very first time, and as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them... I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean. And he wouldn't. I just felt so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me. But he stopped and left, and it felt somehow like I had failed. Where did I screw up?
Feels bad, man.
I'm the reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you. I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... it felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable. And the people who played them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, I felt good about myself. Finally. For a moment, while I had that, I liked myself. And then you stopped, and I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing. What does that mean? I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself. That's why I'm releasing this collection of your work, is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again? Please, I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me? Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. And I want to know I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please. I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
Yikes.
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease.
The lamppost thing still fucking kills me. It's pretty strong.
Solution. I guess if someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed. Maybe he just likes making prisons.
This room gives me weird vibes, dude.
Even
Weird
now,
vibes.
The disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you. if I knew that my life depended on finding something to be driven by other than validation, what would that even be? It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like. What now? I think I need to go. And I'm sorry, because I know that I said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for, and so I'm just gonna... Okay.
Can't just leave me in the middle of the game. You're the narrator. I do really love these areas we've been walking through, though. Hello? It's the engine thing from the start. Sorry.
You said, let me prove that I'm brave. Let me keep going.
You motherfuckers. The reason it's so short is because Davey wanted people to be able to get a refund if they felt uncomfortable playing for someone else's work after the reveal in the tower. So, like, is this real, though? Like, I'm not even trying to be weird, but is this, like, is it actually real? Like, it's really interesting either way, to be honest. To kill the feels, it is not real. Okay. I mean, it's still really good either way, for the record. It is still really, really interesting. I mean, it's... I'm like, do I want to do, like, some kind of... I don't really have, like, an analysis. He left it up in the air for 2 years, never saying if Coda was real. I wasn't sure if, like, in the end it would be like Coda is... himself. Like, if this was, like, a Stan situation. Stan, like the Eminem song Stan. Where it's like... you know, writing something from the perspective of someone admiring you. Like if after the Stanley Parable, there's like this weird flood of people that like try to take this guy's work and derive meaning from it. And it's making it harder for him to want to make games. Kodo's a projection of himself, really? Yeah, it's true. It's true. You know what? That was really good. I'm very happy we played that. In fact, it reminds me of another game that's very, very short. And it's so short that I'm like, should I just play it now? We're only an hour and a half in. Today was gonna be a really short stream, because it's kind of been a complicated day. But it was great. It was really, really interesting. I'll put the VOD on YouTube for sure. Nah, it's fine. We'll save it for another day. We'll save it for another day. I remember a lot of discussions of whether or not this qualifies as a game. I mean, yeah. This is like, it's like a meme at this point, though. Of like, is something... I'll switch scenes. It's like a meme at this point to do like the, you know, is something a game, you know? Like, is a game literally just something that has interaction? And at that point is like a DVD menu, a game? Which I guess technically the answer might be yes. It would just be a really shitty game, right? Like, I think the, I know I've talked about this before. I don't know if it's been on stream, but I've talked about it in one of our podcasts that I used to do with our good friend Michael Coleman. Where there's like a really interesting quote from Will Wright about how games are the only form of media that make you feel guilt and pride. And I think like to extrapolate from that is like games are one of the few forms of media that make you feel a direct attachment to the things that are happening, rather than a passive attachment. Like, in a movie, you can empathize with people, but it's difficult to feel the emotion. You can just feel the emotion other people feel. But like in a game, emotions and thoughts are being directly pushed onto the players. And I think that's kind of poignant, right? To be like, if something makes you part of the experience directly, it's basically what we would consider a game, right? I watched some people play it when it first came out and they legit stopped at the museum part of the tower. They said, I feel like I'm getting caught in between two people's personal stuff and we shouldn't be here. I mean, yeah. It feels, it does feel weird. It does feel weird to be playing through something that is... So, I mean, this basically happens, and what I think is really interesting about the way that the game frames it, is that basically happens from the very first one, where you, like, climb the steps or whatever. Like, if the game is built, the second you have to change the rules of the game to reveal something that no one else should see, like, basically from moment one, you're breaching that privacy of the person who created it. I remember something about games are one of the few things that you can be bad at. Like, you can't be bad at watching a movie. But, like, in a game, if you're bad at it, you're actively being punished. And that you can't progress. Yeah. That is also fair. I mean, like, especially because so much of the stuff that I sort of float around is, like, indie-related content. The conversation comes up a lot of, like, is something a game? And honestly, it swings the other way too, where it's like, is something, like, you know, who cares about 3D Snake or whatever? Like, make a game that says something, make a game that tells a story, make a game that has an impact. Why are you making Brick Break Extreme? You know, like, shit like that. And I don't know. I mean, they can all be games. Why do we have to pick? Why can't they all be games? You know what I'm saying? Why can't we just enjoy games? Why can't we games? Why can't game? Not to mention the narrator just puts his own interpretations and items onto and into the game. Like, was that glitch in the first game that raised you above the map even real? That's interesting. That's an interesting one too. I mean, that's like a really complicated question in general, as far as, like, death of the author shit, of being like, you know, when you take something and you start imposing meaning onto it, like, can you take something like a movie and watch it and be like, this means something, and then the person who made it is like, no, it doesn't mean anything? Like, does that actually take meaning away? Because, like, in theory, it should. You're like, oh, well, you made it, so you design it. But at what point is, like, a work of art divorced from the person who created it and now has meanings that exist past their initial sort of creation of it? This comes up a lot for me because when I talk about movies, especially at work, we get a lot of, I get hit by you know, one of them very famously, It's Chemboy, hitting us with the, are you over-analyzing movies again? or are you over-analyzing cartoons again? But I think it's interesting, you know? And obviously, to some degree, you could probably just say that the best works of art for that sort of thing are things that don't ever reveal what they mean, because then you can sort of go on forever about what the meaning is. But it's pretty good. I really like this. I like this a lot. When did this come out? I should stop throwing my mic everywhere until I get a shock filter. Shock filter? No, shock mount. There you go. That's the one. Beginner's Guide. Came out in 2015. There's so many mustard stains on my monitor. I just don't understand. There's so many mustard stains. The Washington Post gave this game a 100 out of 100. It's pretty good. Game Informer gave it an 8 out of 10. Shack News gave it a 3 out of 10. Hold on, I'm interested in this. Shack News, The Beginner's Guide. The Beginner's Guide game review, a 3 out of 10. So this is, I actually really want to read this because I'm curious why you would give such a low score to this. I assume it's going to be something related to it's not a game. But we're gonna read this together. Ozman, I would recommend watching the part you missed in the VOD. I think you would appreciate it a lot. I'll definitely put it up. I'll put it up, I mean, I'll probably just upload the VOD today, make a thumbnail for it. We'll always have the ending, Watchmen and Martha. Fuck off. God damn it. The Beginner's Guide review, Rendon Begin Again. Okay. Davy Rendon's follow-up to the Stanley Parable attempts to loosely tie together disparate game sketches, but fails to live up to its predecessor. Our review. A lot of people were legit pissed at Davy for taking someone else's work. I guess when it first came out too, if you don't know if it's real or not. Davy Rendon, creator of the critically acclaimed Stanley Parable, has finally produced his follow-up, The Beginner's Guide, or a selection of deep cuts from an amateur game developer Coda's collection of unfinished titles created via the Source engine. For $8, it amounts to what is essentially a how-to in a game design for spectators, masquerading as a fully voiced personal narrative that overanalyzes nearly every single decision and design choice by Coda. However, this sophomore effort is a sadly self-indulgent exercise that requires little thought or little input from the player to complete. Wow! I'm glad you enjoyed it. Heading out. Good night. Hey, take it easy. Take it easy. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you. $8. I had to pay $10. Maybe this is like Canadian or something. The Stanley Parable is a fascinating exercise in interactive fiction for a glittering few moments, and anyone who played it could understand why. After winning over the hearts and minds of critics and those who continually push for narrative legitimacy in a medium that's already proven time and time again to be able to weave believable and enjoyable stories, it was content to exist in a vacuum alone. It was a gem to be placed on a pedestal. It didn't have to say much, but it was an experience that begged at least one completed run-through, if only to be able to discuss it with friends. The Beginner's Guide attempts to recapture this magic, but it fails. It's really interesting. Basically saying I didn't finish the game here. I mean, it's just like... The Beginner's Guide follows narrative Rendon. I mean, I'm like... I'm sorry for just flaming you, Brittany Vincent. It's very unclear, or it's very clear the type of audience Rendon felt he was catering to by creating a 2-hour experience that you can interact with as a mock game, which can leave you feeling alienated unless you choose to believe there really is another person in the story beyond Rendon himself with dual personalities. There's a place for this type of content, but not so much within the stratosphere of gaming where general audiences go to find their next addiction. It's a project that's more in line with media you'd give a loved one or a colleague you'd like to share ideas with. Obviously, a traditional game isn't what the Beginner's Guide set out to be at all, but it doesn't quite flourish as an offbeat art piece either. Charging an admission fee for what is essentially an explainer reel with jumbled tidbits of mundane, unfinished game ideas is ludicrous, even in the name of thinking outside the box in terms of game design. Play the Stanley Parable instead. Yikes. Yikes. Guess we don't pay people for their work. Holy shit. Fuck. Wow. I'm sorry, Brittany Vincent. I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I think it was a pretty good experience. It's something different. And if time and effort has to go into creating something, I think it's worth charging an admission fee. $8, $10. Obviously the game was again graciously gifted to us, but even in a situation where it wasn't, I think it would be worth the admission fee. There's a game, I was referencing this earlier, but there's a game on my Steam library that I played as one of the earliest games on my Steam, which is not something a lot of games can get from me, called 50 Flights of Loving. I'm trying to look for it. 50, that's Five Nights at Freddy, that's The First Tree, Finding Paradise. Do I not have? I must. Legit, the lamppost reveal is worth the $10 admission fee alone if you ask me. I mean, yeah, like it's a well put together experience. And if you don't think, like, if you can rationalize paying $10 to watch a movie at the theater, you can rationalize paying $10 for an hour and a half experience in a video game. Right? Have you actually played Antechamber? That walking backwards game makes me want to see you play through that. I remember seeing that you have it. I do have it, and I have not played it. Not only do I have Antechamber, but it's actually, I'm gonna show it to prove it. I know I keep switching back and forth, but it's in my Twitch folder of games right here at the top. I have Antechamber. So, one day that'll happen. I do feel like I'm too smooth-brained to actually get that done, but, one day. I'm too papega, dude. Please play that soon. That game is one of my favorites. I'll probably get to it. How long is it? I mean, that might be a difficult question to answer. This will be something worth playing, actually. Antechamber is another one that I've had for a really, really, really long time. And I never really got to play in 30 Flights of Loving. I said 50 Flights of Loving. 30 Flights of Loving. I have 53 minutes of playtime on this game, and I've probably played through it like 3 times. This thing is literally like 20 minutes long. And there's barely any game, and it's crazy, and it's fucking weird. And it's by the same people that did Hyperspace. What is it? Hyperspace Cowboy? I think is what it's called. Quadrilateral Cowboy, sorry. I was thinking about Hyperspace Outlaw. The Quadrilateral Cowboy game. There is also Hyperlight Drifter. But like I think it's okay to like invest in like small, personal, interesting narrative experiences. I think that's good. I completed it like 5 to 6 hours blind, and the nature of the game leads you back to the same places repeatedly, often by accident. Yikes. Batsmack, you gonna go back and clip that bit you wanted to now? I'm pretty sure it's literally just when the lights came on and it scared the shit out of me. But anyways. Short stream today. There might be a stream tomorrow. And if there isn't one tomorrow, then there might be a stream Monday. I do want to get to a point to really plan out and schedule stuff, but right now, that's a little bit difficult. But it will get there. Oh my god. He did clip it. We're switching back again. Please. My face. My face! Please. Oh, that's just my active stream. Fuck. I do like feeling really... Jesus, fuck. It just really got me, dude. It just really got me. I thought it was the hey baby, how you doing? Oh, the
Hello, mama, let me whisper in your ear.
I actually can't whisper into my mic. I don't think it picks it up all the way. Fuck. Alright, we're back. Anyways, thank you guys for hanging out. I'll keep you updated on the Discord for when we're streaming, what we're streaming. I do want to get to play in this demo for Haiku for sure. Really excited to play through that. And then I intend to play, I don't know if we're gonna play it all the way through like the story mode or whatever, but I do want to play a little bit of a War Groove, which is a tactics style strategy game in the vein of like Advance Wars that came out a couple years ago. Looks really good, and it was part of last month's Humble Bundle. And that game looks clean as fuck. And by the way, this month's Humble Bundle, it's fucking choice. It is choice. So if you're interested in any of the games, it's like right there. Consider hitting that exclamation point humble, and if you use my referral link, I get a little kickback from that, so that's always nice. But anyways, thank you guys again. Join the Discord. Wait, do all the plug shit. It's easy. You just press a button. Join the Discord to get notified in the future for when the streams are happening. You know how that goes. Follow me on Twitter at StefenGalaxy93 for memes, dreams, engagement farming, random pixel art sometimes, and stuff of that sort. Anyways, thanks again. I appreciate you. Thank you guys for watching. The VOD for this stream will be up on YouTube later, some point this week, probably, hopefully by tomorrow. Shouldn't be that hard. And anyways, yeah, thanks again. I'll see you next time. I appreciate you. Have a great breakfast. It's been a while since I told you guys to have a good breakfast, right? Have a good breakfast. We missed breakfast today. I woke up at 10:30 and then it was game over. We'd get no breakfast. But maybe tomorrow we'll get a little Wendy's breakfast or something. They got bad coffee, but we'll figure it out. Anyways, thanks again. I'll see you next time. Okay, thanks. Bye.